I just have a few words to say. As our monument says, Daisy was born in 1907. If we just think for a moment and go through the decades between that date and the date of 2008, we can begin to understand the great many changes in life itself, throughout this country and in fact throughout the world. Daisy wasn't the oldest, she was the second. The oldest was a sister who had passed on from a disease in her teens. Daisy then was married in 1916. That's not right. She was married in 1924, so you can tell that she was 17 years old when she married. She hadn't finished high school, and one of the reasons that she did marry is because the family wasn't doing well, and this was one less mouth to feed in her parents' family. That's something that none of us thinks about, any of us here, because none of us face that kind of a life. She did a lot of reading, and she found time to get more education much later in her life, starting perhaps in maybe 1950s or 1960s. Everything else I have to say, you all already feel. We all loved her very much. We'll all miss her. We'll all remember her. Thanks.
There was, she left two legacies to my family in Los Angeles. One's the green drink. You probably all heard about it. Which she insisted that we all make and try. None of us developed much of an affinity for it. And then the second was when she was with our family during the earthquake, and what a trooper she was going through it when we didn't have power and we didn't have running water, and she was a very positive spirit at that time, because my kids were really little and they remember her being there too. They're laughing.
I met Daisy when she was probably about maybe 97, 98, I don't know, late in her life. And I just always was fascinated because for a woman from that generation, how like progressive thinking she was and just how strong she was, and just someone that me from my generation could actually really look up to. And I wrote her a letter one time about it when I was on tour because I was unable to get back for her 100th birthday. And then I found that she had saved the letter, and it just meant a whole lot to me. And I can remember through all like the chaos of different things that happened when we would go over to visit her, it always would be like a grounding experience, and I would always leave there in a good mood. Because you think no matter what's going on in your life that week, she just went through so much, she's so strong and positive, that when you leave there, you'd just be like, wow, she can do it, you know, I can do it. So it was always just, she was just such a great person to be around, and she had a great energy, and I miss her very dearly. I miss my visits to her and talking with her very much. So I was blessed to have been around her.
I want to say something about the thing about gratitude and the strength she has. She told a story, and some of you probably have heard it, about she went out and she found $1. Or she found, I don't know what she found, I don't know what it was in those days. How much did she find? A small coin of some sort. And she went and told her mother, and her mother said, go to the candy store and get some candy. And she came back with this kind of bounty of candy, and she said what happened was she couldn't believe that this small amount of money had bought this much candy. And she said her mother had given the money, you know, obviously to the proprietor of the store, so she could come with all this money. And she was so just touched by that kindness of her mother, and they could barely afford what they had. So I thought that was a very interesting thing. So, and also one other thing is Lador Vador, from generation to generation, she was so focused on the next generation of her grandchildren, her children, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren. I just think that's such an amazing thing for her to be so focused on the next generation. Certainly when we visited her, it was always focused on, right?
Yeah,
you know,
amazing.
What are you doing? Not what am I doing, what are you? So.
I'll just add another comment that sort of Michael kind of said too, but she every year remembered my birthday, and we're not such close relatives. I mean, I'm the daughter of her nephew, so I just found that amazing that she was, and she always would type them. I'm sure that's true for everybody. She never sent, she typed a little poem that I assume she got out of the card somewhere, but it was always something different, a little poem that she typed with her italic typewriting, which I thought was very neat back then. And you know, it was personalized, and she would send a little check, and I was so impressed that she was so consistent, always remembering my birthday.
She used to, one of the other things I found in boxes was newspaper clippings and all kinds of things from probably everybody here that I'm sure we didn't even know she was collecting them. But anything she found about anybody in the family, she cut out and saved. So she was very focused on family things.
She was. She came to my public school graduation. She walked with me to school while I was throwing up. I was so nervous. She would pat me on the back and say, it's all right, it'll be all right. And she was a big photography person. She saved every photograph of the family, a big history. And I think I kind of got that from her because I kind of do the same thing. And I'll miss her a lot.
Okay, I guess we can continue.
We're now at the top of page 3, number 8.
Bring everybody together.
Restore my soul, guide me in the paths of righteousness. Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, no fear no evil, for you are with me. Your eyes and staff comfort me. Surely goodness and kindness will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of God forever.
Janice, where are we up to?
If you are comfortable doing so, please stand for El Male Rachamim on page 3. I was going to do the Hebrew. Do you want to do the English also? Let's say the English together. Let God remember the soul of Daisy Garfunkel, who went to her place of eternal rest. Please let her soul be bound up with living in the continuum of life, and may her rest be honorable. Grant her abundant joy in your presence, and sweet pleasures at your right hand for eternity. Amen. God, filled with mercy, dwelling in heaven's heights, grant perfect peace beneath the wings of your Shekinah, amid the ranks of the holy and the pure, illuminating like the brilliance of the skies the souls of our beloved and our lands who went to their eternal place of rest. May you, who are the source of mercy,